Sir, I'll go off from this so that I'll join the other
Yeah, please do.
from the left. Oh, thank you. Pranam. Pranam.
Is everyone here? Supriya? Supriya, are you there? Can you connect? Okay, let's start. Welcome everyone. Let us start with the course, Introduction to Psychoanalysis. Let us first start with locating psychoanalysis in the realm of knowledge. So let us start with locating psychoanalysis in the realm of knowledge. If we imagine, to simplify things, knowledge as a multi-storied building, then on which floor and in which room do we locate this subject, psychoanalysis? It's always good to first locate what we are going to study in that whole structure of knowledge, so we know what is the vantage point and what are the boundaries of what we are trying to go into. One way to conceptualize this whole realm of knowledge is to look at three zones of knowledge: the zone of matter, the zone of life, and the zone of mind. In each of these three, we find there is one science which appears as the mother science of that particular zone, and other sciences, which are all hard sciences, not soft sciences, but they still appear to be less fundamental than that mother science. When we look at matter and that zone of matter, which is the zone of matter, energy, and force, physics appears to be the mother science. Similarly, when we go to the zone of life, the whole range of biological, zoological, genetic sciences, biology appears to be the mother science. And when we go to mind, we have so many sciences: psychology, sociology, anthropology, history, and a whole range of them. But in this zone, psychology appears to be the mother science. And if psychology is the mother science, then within psychology, there are many players who are in contest to claim that, in fact, we are the mother science within psychology, that we are the real um, discipline which grabs the essence of mind and therefore of all humanities and social sciences. So, psychology being the mother science in the realm of mind, psychoanalysis then makes a claim to that position, that it is a mother science in the realm of mind, and therefore it becomes possible to have inquiry like psychoanalysis and economics, psychoanalysis and art, psychoanalysis and philosophy, psychoanalysis and management, because in that zone, psychoanalysis appears to be the mother science. Obviously, it's a contested position. Nobody is going to cede this throne of mother science to anybody else. But that is one claim that psychoanalysis has, that it is a mother science in the realm of the zone of the mind. Now, within psychology, there are many sub areas of psychology. So once we say psychology is the mother science of the mind, then within that there are many areas. We have clinical psychology, organizational psychology, sports psychology, criminal psychology, and so on. What we are going to take up is one part of psychology, which is clinical psychology. We'll not go into other parts of psychology. And when we go inside clinical psychology, we have a few key actors that populate this zone of clinical psychology. So from the building of knowledge, we came to the floor of the mind. And in that floor of the mind, we went into the room of psychology. And then we say, within that room, we'll go into that cupboard of clinical psychology. And that has three shelves. And the shelves are, within clinical psychology, there is an area of psychotherapy, an area of psychological testing, and an area of public health. How do you go into the epidemiological and the public health aspect of mental health? Now, what we will do is we will focus our discussion on the first part, the psychotherapy part of it. So we will not devote so much of time to psychological testing. We will do a few sessions, but not many. And we will give one or two sessions only to public health. 95% of our focus will be on psychotherapy aspect of clinical psychology. When we come to psychotherapy, there are various types of psychotherapies. And there are various schools, various approaches. For example, psychoanalysis is one approach to psychotherapy. CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy is second approach. If you are dealing with very small children who don't have the gift of the word, the gift of the language, they express through play. And therefore, for small children, we have something called play therapy, where the therapy happens by using child's play. And it's a very specialized area. Those who go into it will know it's a complete specialization by itself, to the extent that some people specialize only in the sand tray, which is used to allow the child to play. So only focusing on the sand tray itself becomes a super specialization in that area. So this is an area of play therapy. Some use art to help in the therapeutic process. That's called art therapy. Some use hypnosis, hypnotherapy. So if we just want to locate psychoanalysis, psychoanalysis is a part of psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is a part of broader construct called clinical psychology, which is a part of a broader construct called psychology, which is the mother science in the zone of mind. And the whole realm of knowledge, therefore, is so constructed that we find psychology, clinical psychology, psychotherapy, and psychoanalysis located at a precise point in that building. Now, when we come to mental health, there are three broad areas which are dealing with mental health in one way or the other. There is this area of neurology, psychiatry, and psychotherapy. For the structural difficulties, accidental difficulties, genetic difficulties, neurology becomes an important area. For more functional aspects of it, when the MRI does not show much difficulty and you have difficulties, we have psychiatry, which is focused largely on the neurochemical aspect of it, the biological aspect of it. And then there is psychotherapy, which is also dealing with mental health. And it is largely based upon three main characters which populate this whole area of psychotherapy. The three characters are thought, feelings, and action. And these are the three major characters around which all psychotherapies are built in some way or the other. Either you take only thought, or you take only feelings, or only action, or you take combination of them, and something comes up as a structure of psychotherapy. So generally, psychiatry and psychotherapy can easily go together. In some cases, like mental retardation or something of that sort, some part of neurology and psychotherapy also can go, but largely they are separate. But psychiatry and psychotherapy are very close to each other. Coming to the practice of psychotherapy, there are more than 150 different types of psychotherapies at present, which are out there in the market. Of that, 55 are well known. Others are more niche therapies, not very well-known therapies, not practiced across the world, practiced maybe in 1 or 2 countries, but 55 are well-known. And out of this 55, 10 are major psychotherapies which command almost 80% of the psychotherapy market. The important thing here is there is no global or national regulatory body to filter or assess or certify any therapy. There are no clinical trials for psychotherapy, to invent a psychotherapy. So it is more an area of craft rather than an area of an exact science. And therefore, it's not difficult to create a new form of psychotherapy. You can do some mix and match, some combination, try it out, and if it works universally or on a particular group of patients, you put forward as an alternative to others. And the market is the only thing that decides out there what will go forward or what will not go forward. But there is no regulatory body or a regulatory prohibition on this. Taking advantage of this freedom, in a way it's a creative freedom, in a way it's a free for all. There are both aspects of it. I have also created a new system which is called HEAT. It's an acronym for Holistic Elemental Analysis and Therapy, where I have tried to combine East and West and different schools of the West. So as I said, the ground of psychotherapy is always three characters, three actors in that playground: thought, feeling, and action. So if you focus on thought, then you will have approaches like cognitive therapy, rational emotive therapy. If you focus on action, you will have behavioral therapy. If you focus on feeling, you will have psychoanalysis, ISTDP, emotion-centered therapy. If you do a combo, say thought and action, you will have CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. If you do thought and feeling, you will have something like CDT, cognitive dynamic therapy. So all these combinations will be there. Now, if we have to classify all these 10 major therapies that we talked about into 4 or 5 groups, then these groups are this. There is one group of therapies which is cognitive therapies focused on thought. The idea is that we will use the conscious mind, we will use thought we will use reason and rationality, and we will use the willpower of the person. And there, in that group, you have therapies like cognitive therapy, rational emotive therapy. They are largely based upon using conscious mind, using thought, using reason, using convincing, and using willpower. Then you have behavioral therapies, like, for example, behavioral therapy, BT, right, which are focused largely on behavior. CBT, if you do combo of cognitive and behavioral, you will get CBT, REBT, DBT. DBT is dialectic behavioral therapy. Third group of therapies is what is called depth therapies. These therapies focus on the unconscious mind, and they believe that the root of pathology is in the unconscious mind and mostly in early childhood. In this group of therapies, we have psychoanalysis and ISTDP. ISTDP stands for Intensive Short-Term Dynamic Psychotherapy. Then we have a fourth group, which is existential humanistic therapies. They are a combination in a way of psychotherapy and existentialism. So they go into ideas like the human condition, what is natural. They will easily do self-revelation. The therapist will reveal a lot of things about himself. They will go into unconditional acceptance of a person. So these are largely based upon existentialism and humanism as philosophies. So you have the existential psychotherapy, person-centered psychotherapy, and logotherapy. Logotherapy is based upon giving oneself the ideal goal, the good goal. And then the rest of the system marshals itself up in pursuit of that goal. And as you go towards the goal, many of the small difficulties you had, they are actually healed or they are just put aside. Then we have experiential therapies. Therapies which involve a lot of living. Like in psychoanalysis, we have an old saying that this whole area is based upon reflecting, not acting. That you will talk about it, you will feel in the therapy room, but you will not try to live it out in real life. Like if I am angry towards somebody, in my session in therapy, I can talk about that anger, I can feel it fully in my body, right? I can live out the fantasies of brutality and revenge, but I am not supposed to go out and show anger to somebody I'm really angry at. That is called acting out, and that is not preferred. It's actually a taboo. It's something to be avoided in psychoanalysis. So this is based upon reflecting, not acting. But there are many approaches which tell you live beyond reflecting. Don't just stop at words and feelings and articulation, but live it out. It's a very different approach. And it's a very experiential approach. Now, some people live out in real life. Some people live out in an enacted space, a space that facilitates enactment and reenactment. So one such approach is psychodrama. Psychodrama is an approach where you experientially try to reenact a space, and in that facilitating space, a reenactment and a reliving, partial or total, happens. There is another approach in Tantra, in the Eastern side of things, in our own spiritual and mythological and mystical tradition, that as a part of the large ambit of Hindu psychology, Tantra is a very important thing. And in Tantra, they actually put a lot of emphasis on living out the repressed. So these are therapies where you actually live it out. And you live it out in two ways. One, you live it out with people. And second is you live it alone by creating a situation where you almost enter into a role. It's kind of a psychodrama, but slightly on a mystical side. It's called Avishkar. So this is how we can look at the whole realm of psychotherapy, that there are more than 150, 55 major, out of which 10 are the most popular. These 10 you can divide into these large groups, and each of these large groups has its own particular way of looking at three things. One, how does the mind function? So that is what we call model of the mind. Any school of therapy will ultimately have to deal with three things. One, how does the mind function, which means model of the mind. Two, how does pathology generate, which means pathogenesis. And three, how do you heal it, which means the healing method. And the healing method always will be a function of pathogenesis. If you believe neurochemicals are the problem, you will try to heal with neurochemicals. If you believe bottled up feelings are the root of pathology, you will try to release bottled up feelings. If you believe wrong thinking, wrong ideation is at the root of pathology, you will focus upon thoughts and go that way. If you believe wrong kinetic and visceral experiences are the root, you will go into behavioral aspect of it. If you believe giving a good goal automatically leads to marshalling of healing forces and eventually healing, you will go by providing a good ideal goal. So whatever is your belief of pathogenesis, healing method will always be a function of it. Once you settle that this is my idea of how pathology develops, from that automatically will emerge how to heal that thing. And obviously, there is no consensus at present on either model of the mind or pathogenesis. And therefore, naturally, there is no consensus on what is the best way to heal. So at present, it's a very eclectic situation where each school has its own idea of how the mind functions, how pathology develops, and therefore how to heal. Let me take an example to make it more concrete. Let us say a OCD patient comes. To each of these different therapy persons, how will they look at it? The OCD person comes to a cognitive therapist. The cognitive therapist will talk about the cost benefit analysis. What is the cost you are paying by these repetitive actions? Are you not tired of paying that cost? Would you like to pay that cost for the next 20 years? Is it not enough? Just think, if this cost you are not paying, what else could you be doing with all that time and energy? And how life would have been if this pathology had not been there? So this is the way they will move cognitively towards something. Then they will talk about deferment of impulse, that next time the impulse comes to wash your hands, just defer it by 3 minutes. Next week, defer it by 5 minutes. Gradually reduce it. The behavioral person will look at behavioral control. Okay, what will happen if you just don't open your hands or tie your hands whenever the impulse comes for 5 minutes? Or they will use positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. They will say, every time you do it, after doing it, give yourself some punishment, a negative reinforcement. And every time the impulse comes, but you are able to defer it, give yourself a positive reinforcement. So they will go for behavioral control, positive and negative reinforcement. The cognitive behavioral person will combine both of them. Some cognitive tools, some behavioral tools put together. So that is how they will approach a OCD person coming to them. Let us say the same OCD person goes to an ISTDP therapist. ISTDP therapist will say, at the root of everything is bottled up anger, sadness, and guilt. So if we can release your pent up anger, sadness, and guilt, then these emotions, when they start coming up, it creates anxiety in the system. Some part of your mind becomes anxious that these difficult feelings are coming up. So that part alerts the rest of the system by creating anxiety. And this anxiety is channelized into the repetitive action, because once there is so much of anxiety, something has to be done about it. And one way to manage anxiety is to put it into a repetitive action, obsession or compulsion. So he will say obsession and compulsion are ways of channelizing anxiety, and the anxiety is coming from either anger, sadness, or guilt, or some combination bottled up inside and trying to come up. So his idea will be, let us go into therapy and focus on only these three, feel it fully and let it go, and the anxiety will go by itself, and the obsession naturally will go by itself. So they will say the OCD is because of anxiety, anxiety is because of these bottled up feelings, remove these bottled up feelings and the rest will fall by itself. If the same person comes to psychoanalysis, he will not get one opinion but many opinions, because there are many schools in psychoanalysis. So there are at least 7 to 10 different schools in psychoanalysis. So the same person coming to psychoanalysis, different schools, will get 7 to 10 different opinions. Let us say this person goes to a Freudian. The Freudian person will say your Oedipus is unresolved, and therefore that sexual aspect in the unconscious being unresolved, it is leading to castration anxiety and guilt anxiety, and that is leading to this obsession. The obsession is only a way of channelizing that anxiety arising from Oedipus. These things will slowly take meaning, don't worry about it. If he goes to a Kleinian, the Kleinian will say your split is open, and therefore there is huge amount of aggression and fear, paranoid fear of somebody attacking you, and therefore the anxiety and therefore the OCD. As we go along, these things will take meaning. The only point I want to emphasize at this point is this, that outside of psychoanalysis, you will have 5 different ways of analyzing the cause of OCD and the healing method of OCD. And within psychoanalysis, there will be 7 to 8 different ways of analyzing the cause and therefore prescribing a healing method for OCD. What is the common line? The common line is everything works on someone and nothing works on everyone. And this is what every healer comes to realize after 5-7 years of practice, regardless of what he is practicing. He may be practicing psychiatry, pranic healing, Ayurveda, homeopathy, whatever, but everyone comes to this, that everything works on someone and nothing works on everyone, and therefore it becomes an art what to give what to whom. So please. You are muted, sir.
It was very good. Uh, You said something about logotherapy that was very good. And I thought if the OCD person goes to logotherapy, how will the logotherapist will decide what goal to give him? And before that, what preparation he will do? And
Okay, I am not an expert there, but I'll tell you what I know. This has come from concentration camps in the Second World War. That there was a person who was able to somehow maintain his sanity and to some extent happiness because he gave good goals to himself. That I will someday come out and do ABCD in life. And the way it works is, analytically speaking, it marshals the superego strength and superego happiness. And that takes some energy away from other parts and provides some strength to the ego. We'll go in details once we do superego and when we do superego pathology and superego happiness, both aspects of superego. So we will focus in psychoanalysis on the unconscious mind, unconscious affect, and what happens in early life as root of pathology, and therefore correspondingly a congruent method of healing. We have 2 minutes to go. Any question? There are two types of healing broadly. I mean, many types of healing. But let me say one way to classify all healing approaches is to look into active healing and passive healing. If you're taking a tablet, it's passive healing. If somebody else is doing Reiki or pranic healing for you, it's passive healing. You are not doing anything. But if you are doing something on your own, psychotherapy, yoga, tantra, meditation, this is active healing, which is difficult. Many people say, let chemicals talk to chemicals. I don't want to talk to myself. So that is passive healing. In active healing, you have to talk to yourself in some way or the other, and it's difficult. So what we are going to do is psychoanalysis, which is a form of active healing. You can also classify healing in terms of analytical healing, creative healing, energy healing, healing by life experiences, and spiritual healing. There are different types of healing. Analytical healing is what we do in psychoanalysis. Creative healing is what they do in art therapy. Energy healing is what they do in pranic and reiki. In life, many times experiences heal us, and spiritual healing goes into some form of pranic healing and some form of meditations. So what we will do is active healing and analytical healing in our journey. Let us stop for this part. In 10 minutes, I will send you a new link.